So, The Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. This was a movie I was really excited for going into it. And I'm also happy to say that I'm excited for the potential future coming out of it. This film is set 300 years after the events of War of the Planet of the Apes, where we saw the conclusion of Caesar's story. The very interesting thing about this particular story is that Caesar is still an impactful figure amongst the apes who have survived this long and in some ways have thrived. I really find it interesting and cool how they've used Caesar's legacy to explain how different people view legends in history or figures in history, if you will. There are different sets of apes throughout this world. There are kingdoms, there are villages, and a lot of them are inspired by Caesar. Caesar at some points becomes a religious figure. He becomes a political figure in a way to wield power amongst other apes.
Are we thankful for the words of Caesar?
We are thankful.
Do we bend our heads?
We bend.
Say his words.
Apes together strong.
Say his words!
Very similar, like I was mentioning, to the way that we view historic and religious figures today. And I thought one of the best things that this movie did was keep Caesar relevant by making him part of the story still, even though he's been long dead. Now, speaking of the story, we come upon our main character, our new figurehead. Noah is a young ape that's a part of a village where they actually train different types of birds to do their bidding, very similar to the way that people use hawks or different birds as messenger pigeons and things of that nature. Different ape factions have their own cultures. Now, some cultures are a little bit more violent and a little bit more ambitious than others. I love the fact that over the course of these 300 years, apes have split off. Apes have had their own ideas of how to live life. Young Noah, who I thought was a really good character with a lot of depth, they bring in a lot of family and friend elements from his village to kind of make him a fully well-rounded character when he's on his way to achieve what seems to be a ceremony of adulthood. His village is attacked by a neighboring ape village. They do a really good job of using the environment and the abilities that apes just naturally have in order to create some really cool fights. There's a lot of really dynamic fighting styles because there are different types of apes in this movie. You have your gorillas, your orangutans, and your monkeys and chimpanzees. So they all have their different form and functions, and they really do a good job of using those different styles to their advantage, the creative team, I mean. So after his village gets captured, he also happens to run into a human character, and I won't give much away about the human character because there's a lot to spoil there. There's a lot of depth to that character as well and where that character leads us to in this story. But what I will say is that, and before we get into that, I'd love for you guys to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button so you can get more reviews from me, and also check out that join button for the new channel memberships that I have that will give you exclusive content including stickers, memes, behind the scenes, and everything in between. I did not mean to rhyme all that, but you came to my channel. You came to hear me rap. No, you didn't. Through this human character, as well as another ape character named Raka, who Noah meets along the way, Noah becomes a more mature, a more empathetic ape. There's a fear of the humans. There is a lore about the humans that some apes have forgotten completely and they just don't know about them. And other apes remember well through the education that they've been given. Now, in the case of Raka, who's one of my favorite characters in this movie, his sole purpose, his sole belief, his religious belief, you can almost say, is that Caesar would have ape and humankind live together. Meanwhile, you have the kingdom of the Planet of the Apes who believe that humans are just the worst. They will kill us. They will take over. The human characters, other than our main human, are not a major factor in this movie. They are there. The main human is a driving force in this film. but they never become such a big presence that it takes away from the ape characters. I found myself to be very happy with that, especially with some of the movies that we see with heavily CGI characters, movies like Godzilla, movies like Transformers. There seems to always be this overemphasis on the humans needing to be the avatar for us, the audience. I'm so glad that that does not happen in this film. The apes are front and center and the humans are ancillary until they're not. And yeah, I really enjoy this film for the most part. Now, that doesn't mean that this movie is perfect by any means. I do think that the movie did a really good job of telling its story. However, in the third act, I could really feel that the movie just became more of a setup for the future than focusing on a self-contained story. It really felt like the focus was all over the place. Typically, what I like to see, especially going into a new series, I know we all know that it's going to be a series, but I like these stories to be and feel self-contained. I think of something like Into the Spider-Verse, right? Of course, you can come back for sequels, but Into the Spider-Verse, if another sequel never happened, it feels like a complete story. And that's really it for the negative things I have to say about the movie. Other than that, I had a great time watching this. I had a great time seeing how they use Caesar's legacy. And I'm looking forward to more movies in the future. I'm wondering what the next super long Planet of the Apes title is going to be. But as far as how many sparks I'm going to give this movie, I'm going to give this movie 3.5 out of 5 sparks. I thought it was really well directed. I thought it was gorgeous to look at. The characters are dynamic. They did a really good job of carrying over the lore of the previous 3 films while making this film its own. It's not a rehash of anything we've seen before in terms of the 2010 trilogy. It is its own new thing. We get to follow Noah on his new journey. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments, and I'll talk to you all next time.